Welcome to the 12th Man podcast, is the Race for Europe show. And I tell you what, a lot of people have dropped out the race. We've got some late ones, we've got some missing ones. And, you can guess the late ones. Obviously, Tobes is going to be joining us. He's late. Start without me. My bet is I don't know what is he talking about? What? His bet is going mad. I don't know what he's talking about. He should not be betting after betting me that some would get anywhere near Haaland this season with goals. He should never bet again. We've got lead judges. The judge is coming to face the music after Arsenal finally lost. Potts is on holiday. He's done a runner. He couldn't face it. He comes back 1 week after I host this show, and then he goes on holiday again for another 2 weeks. I'm going to start calling him Part-Time Potts. That's his name now, Part-Time Potts. He could not face the music when Arsenal lost, but can always rely on good old lead judges. He don't hide, he don't run. But no, I hope you're enjoying your holiday, Potts. But Pete is here. We've got Pete, my opposition from the weekend, mate. Good to have you here on time. Early, unlike a certain Spurs fan.
Of course. Always make sure that I'm here on time for Race for Europe. Make sure we're ready to get into all things Newcastle United as well. It should be a very, very interesting chat tonight with yours truly and yourself, Dan, considering we went head-to-head this weekend.
Do you know what? There's something kind of ironic or it's something metaphorical about Tobes being late for the Race for Europe and Spurs being so behind in the Race for Europe this season. There's something poetic about that, right? Something very appropriate. So everyone knows Tobes. Everyone knows it would be Tobes. But yes, Man United are losing. We've got Dan. Dan is at the game, and he might as well just rip his ticket. He might as well come back on the show now.
He binned us off for that tonight. He binned us off to go 1-0 down after a bit.
He actually binned. Oh, sorry, lads, I'm not coming now. I've got my ticket. Boy, you know what? That's what you get, Dad. That's what you get. Do not ditch us to go and watch Man United. And mate, please hold on. And this ain't even a new manager bounce. This is like a no manager bounce because they ain't got no one yet, have they, Leeds?
Yeah. Are you not slightly worried because Leeds are in and around where you guys are in the table, or are you willing to take one for the team to ensure that Man U lose?
Let's get into that. Obviously, when Tobes come, we're going to talk about Kane breaking the record. We're going to talk a bit about the Man City situation, and we're going to have Lee talk about Arsenal. Are the wheels finally coming off, or is it just a blip in the road? But there was a game on the weekend. West Ham went up to Geordie Land to face Newcastle United, and hey, that's a bit better, isn't it? Newcastle. I was on Pete's channel last week. Everyone was saying my Geordie accent sounded Jamaican.
It was. You are now known as the Jamaican Geordie from all Newcastle fans. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, do you know what? I'm not having judges take any flack for being late because he said ahead of time he was football 7 till 8. And it will get back on as soon as he can get back. But look, we came up to your ground. You little fans were confident. I was on your channel. I was hearing 3-0s, 5-1s, all sorts of stuff from your lot. What was your prediction again?
Mine was 2-1. I said we'd win 2-1. Okay. I said it would be. To be fair, I said it would be a closer game, but I thought we'd nick it.
Yeah. I mean, look, it was a very close game. You started off, got a goal ruled out for VAR, then got the other early goal. Callum Wilson, do you know what? I can't even say what I want to say about that guy. What is his beef with us, honestly?
He just loves scoring goals.
Absolutely loves it. Like, that's what he thrives on, scoring goals against us. And honestly, from there, you're starting to get worried, thinking, this could be bad. But we settled into it, and over the course of the game, some might argue we were good for 3 points. You know what I mean?
Nah, you weren't good for 3 points.
I thought, you started brightly, but I think we came there. I think we played very well. Paqueta who's been getting a lot of slander on this show, turned up and he rocked that stadium. Took his goal very well. I'm not hearing about tapping. People want to talk about tapping, yeah, like tapping Tobes. Nah, he controlled the ball beautifully with a touch with his leg, slotted away nicely. Paqueta is finally going to show what he's capable of. He's been played in his right position, and he's going to be flying.
Yeah, maybe. He was okay. He was okay. I've seen him play better. But it was a well-taken goal. But I'm not buying into you guys should have won this game business. I'm not buying into that. I'll admit, we started like a house on fire. Great goal by Callum Wilson. It was actually Paqueta that released that got bullied off the ball by Joe Linton that ended up releasing Longstaff into Wilson, that scored the goal. So for all of his good performance, he's the one that conceded the ball in which we scored from. But what I will say is that after we scored, we dropped off and you guys came into the game. Now, for me, you're bigging up, and I don't know if anyone else watched the game, you're bigging up Paqueta. He was okay. But I'll be honest with you, I thought Declan Rice was outstanding. I thought he was outstanding on Saturday. I thought he was very, very good.
Best player in the match.
I'm inclined to agree with you to a point. I thought Joe Linton was outstanding too in midfield.
Do not get me started on that.
Look, I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. Look, I'm not getting it. I'm talking about his performance overall.
We're going to talk about that.
He was also equally outstanding. I thought those two were the outstanding players in the match, Joe Linton and Declan Rice, and it was a good little battle in there in midfield. But you guys came into it, and to be fair, when you scored, it was coming. We were gifting possession. Rice was winning. I think he won the ball about 3 or 4 times in that 20-minute spell. Like he was all over the place. And he put the ball in that Paqueta scored. So did really, really well. But I have to admit, I was surprised because I was expecting you boys to come out second half and really go for us. But you guys just went like this. We'll take the point, guys. We'll shut up shop. But I don't even remember you guys going past the halfway line in the second half. It was one-way traffic. And to be fair, we should have scored if it wasn't for a piece of outstanding defending by Aguerd, who is a terrific player, by the way. There's a reason why we wanted him in the summer. There's a reason why you paid 30 million for him. Very, very good tackle. Although I do think Wilson should have done better with it. He shouldn't have allowed him back in. I think it was a little bit too easy. But look,
what could have Wilson done to avoid? Well,
he tried to go too direct towards goal. If he took it wide, so his first touch takes him in towards goal. If his second touch takes him away, and Aguerd does the same thing, he brings him down for a penalty, and we get a penalty because the ball's too wide for him to come back in to stretch his leg to actually win the ball. So if it had knocked the ball wide with a view to then shoot, it'd have either been taken down or would have been in a position to take the shot. So for me, I think he could have done better, but it's a split second. But what I will say is a great little cameo from Gordon. He looked sharp. He played the ball in for Wilson. He looked good, considering he only had a couple of days training. I think 1 day's training, in fact, with the lads before the game. So that bodes well. And look, Wilson had another header. He's done it a few times now. I really like tame little headers that just keep going into the keeper's hands when he puts himself in good positions. But look, a point's a point. I think a point's a fair result. I don't know what you think about it. I thought a point was a fair result, and we crack on to the next games. What about you, Lawless? Give me your perspective then, and then come on, get your thoughts out about Joe Linton. Come on, get up.
It was a fair. Listen, I think we should have went for it when Moyes took off Paqueta and Benrahma. My head exploded. Yeah, it was just like we need to start getting 3 points. Yes, a point at St. James's Park or Sports Direct Arena. You know,
don't start that rubbish.
What
it was never Sports Direct Arena. It's that clown from down south. right? From your boys' neck of the woods that was giving us some random names for our stadium. It's St. James's Park. It will never, ever be anything different. Right, sorry. Carry on.
Right, at the Sports James's Park, whatever we call it, right? It's a good point. It's a good point. Not taking it away from it, but be brave, be bold, because we have to start going to these grounds and getting 3 points because of the awful, games that we have dropped points against teams around us. So now we've got to come and get 3 points because we've got a point here. I said 4 points from 3. That means now we have to get at least 3 points in either Chelsea or Spurs. So I take nothing away. I just thought, come on, like it's everyone can see what you're doing, Moyes. You're playing for that point. Like as soon as we got that goal, it was job done. No need to try and go and win it. And I think we could have won that game. It was really frustrating from Moyes, honestly, when we're down in the dumps and teams around us are picking up points. Everton obviously got a massive 3 points, which we're going to talk about in a bit, against Arsenal. But, I have to say, Joe Linton, we need to talk about him because Positive Pete over here, right? He loves to defend everything Newcastle. Everything. And Joe Linton, has to be one of the most embarrassing displays of cheating I have seen in a long time. Disgusting. Come on, Pete. Defend that.
He was just he was so desperate to score. I'm joking. Look, I said it myself. It was shocking. It was shocking. I don't think even I could defend that. I don't think any Newcastle fan, if you ask them, they'll just kind of laugh because it's just so bad. It's so obvious. There's no way he was ever going to get a penalty for that. So yeah, I can't defend that. It was poor, and he should know better. I haven't really seen that from him before. In his defense, that's the first time I've ever seen him do anything like that. He stays on his feet, he's big and strong. But yeah, I think he was just desperate to win something for Newcastle. But it was a poor way of going about it, to be fair.
Yeah. No, I agree. Fair enough. Fair play. Look, I know we could sit here all day and talk about Newcastle and our West Ham, but I'm sure people are like, I'm going to speak about the big clubs. All right, so let's speak about the big clubs, and I want to get your perspective on this as a Newcastle fan with Saudi owners. Manchester City in real hot water lately over FFP. Now, we're talking some serious allegations, and obviously Newcastle, everyone looked at them as potentially the next Man City, the next club that's now going to splash cash, going to dominate, create a dynasty, all of that stuff. From your perspective of Newcastle, are you looking at and thinking, it's over, the game's up now? Like they've kind of pulled the ladder up, and we're not going to be able to do what Man City did because obviously they're watching to make an example? Or how do you feel about it?
You know what, Lawless, is that everyone outside of Newcastle has had that opinion of Newcastle. They thought that we were going to be the next Chelsea, the next Man City. We've known right from the get-go that was never, ever going to happen. The reason being is that Chelsea and Man City both came in and spent massively before FFP was even a thing. So they already had a massive jump start on what we were ever able to do because they didn't have those sorts of restrictions. We were always going to have to play to those restrictions because they are trying to keep it very, very tight in terms of what these big owners with big money are able to spend. It's as simple as that. Now, I think we've gone about our business in the right way. We openly talk about, as a club, about FFP and making sure that we stick to that. And I do believe to a certain extent it was the reason why Dan on Potsy on previous shows, he's gone, I'm surprised Newcastle ain't gone big. They haven't gone and spent this, that, and the other. And the reason being is because of this. Because of that reason. We haven't spent that sort of money because we know if we overspend, they're going to come down on us like a ton of bricks. Man City have been fighting this for years. And the one thing I'll say about this, and look, I get your, like Dan Tobes, you get your thoughts on this with regards to Man City. I don't think this is going away. This is a big deal. And the reason why is because the Premier League have been after Man City for years now. They've been after them for years. And they are not going to go after Man City for years and try and pull them through the mud just to slap a 20 million, 30 million pound fine on them. They're not going to waste that time. They're not going to pursue someone for that long to just go, you know what, here's a fine. Like, there you go. Off you go. They are coming with everything. And they're going to come to try and pull Man City, like, literally, like, under the rug. They're trying to get them out of the way completely. And I wouldn't be surprised if the punishment is something that we've never seen in the Premier League before. But I don't know what you guys think.
I mean, Tobes is here. Lateness is not greatness. You know, I mean, we're talking about the Man City situation. I mean, I was just putting to Pete, like, because obviously, I said everyone looked at Newcastle as the next Man City. Is this the end of the new billionaire owners now coming in and transforming a club and making them dominant? And, like, obviously, what's your perspective on the Man City situation?
I hope you can see me or hear me, and I hope my internet is cooperating. But what I wanted to say on this is I don't think it's the end. I think Chelsea have shown that there are ways around it. You can always find a loophole. And I think with Man City, right, I guess it wasn't a case of the owners just solely pumping money into the club, because I feel like that's permissible under the right circumstances. I think most of the scrutiny is being put on the fact that they cooked their books. They made it seem as if they were making more than they were actually making. God, my internet is struggling. But I think that's the problem. I think that in itself is something that you don't expect a club of their magnitude to do. And I felt like the only reason why they did that is to sort of keep up with the likes of United, Chelsea, Liverpool, etc., etc. They were spending so much money, and because of FFP, they had to justify it with money that was perceived to be coming in that wasn't actually coming in. So I don't think it's the end. I don't think it's the end. I just think they've been caught. Personally, I always feel like in football, there's always ways around this, right? Clubs as big and as powerful as the likes of Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, United, etc., etc. There's always a way around this, right? But Man City, I feel like it's been so blatant, and with that whole Der Spiegel leak that came out a couple of years back, the authorities have actually started to say, you know what, let's actually go for them. Because even before this charge, even before these charges, like nobody outside of Man City is shocked by this. Nobody's shocked by this. I remember even questioning. I remember they had this deal with Etihad, this like new 10-year, £400 million deal, and I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, the owners of Man City own Etihad, and yet Etihad keeps sponsoring this club and stuff. And I feel like that type of stuff is nasty. It's artificial. It's artificial sponsorship, and I feel like that stuff is nasty, man. So I feel like that doing that as a owner of a specific club, I don't think that's going to run anymore. I feel like that part, people are going to start cracking down on it, and I love and appreciate the Premier League for actually shining a light on it.
That's that, because you look at it, yeah, with Newcastle.
Sorry, I think my internet.
No, we can hear you. We can hear you. Yeah, like, but that's the thing. So with Newcastle, if they do crack down on these sponsorships, you know, and things like that, how can Newcastle break into them? Obviously, they're having a good season and they haven't gone crazy yet, but trying to sustain it up there when you've got Man United who can spend, and Chelsea, I mean, whatever the hell Chelsea's doing, and you know, obviously Arsenal are spending. Like, how are Newcastle supposed to maintain themselves up there if they can't just go, okay, we're sponsored by Saudi Airways, you know, and then, you know, £500 million sponsor, like, for other clubs. It's tough.
There are ways. Look, we're not going to be able to do Man City things in terms of big money sponsors, but one of the main things that all Newcastle fans are aware of is the fact that we need a new shirt sponsor. So Fun 88 is going at the end of the season. They've cancelled the contract early, And so what we're going to look for is a brand new sponsor with regards to that. So for example, just to put it in perspective, the agreement that we've got currently with Fun 88 is one of the lowest in the Premier League. So we now, as a club that is more ambitious, will sign a deal with whoever it is for a more significant deal. Now, on top of that, for me, if we're playing in Europe or Champions League football, we can then command more money. And the Premier League will look at that, but they'll look at where we're at and they'll look at where we're going, and they'll be able to sign that off. And that immediately means that we've got more money to spend. On top of that, we're with Castori at the moment, and we're looking potentially to move out of that. So we'll then get, it's been rumored for quite a while now that we're looking at the likes of Nike or Adidas. They only do big deals with the bigger clubs. So therefore, they're two things already. Now, you've got sleeve sponsors, you've got sponsors in the stadium, all these things that maybe you guys take for granted, that all we had for 14 years was Sports Direct, because basically Ashley was paying the money to the club and then putting it back into his own pocket again, pretty much. And it was like the worst sponsorship deals of anyone in the Premier League. It was like £750,000 a year or something. It was something that embarrassing. So we've not even tapped into that additional sponsorship. So we've got room to maneuver.
Here you come with the money. That's it, man. Newcastle are coming. Lee, good to see you, my friend.
How are you? You all right?
Good.
Good.
I just wanted to add on Pete's point, right? I feel like Newcastle may not be in such a rush in comparison to Man City. With Man City, it was accelerated, right? As soon as Sheikh Mansour come in, Robinho signed for 30 something million. Joe had signed for 30 million. The next season, Adebayor signs and Tevez signs, and they just went crazy, and they had to sort of find a way to offset that spending. I think Newcastle know they have the funds. Newcastle know that if they target a player and it's a case of a bidding war, they've got the resources to outbid their opponents, right? But I don't think we've seen Newcastle splurge crazy outside of Isak. I feel like Isak is the only signing where you can actually say, wow, that's like a significant outlay on one player. I think for the most part, they're spending more than what they used to spend before, but not abnormal for some of the higher placed sides in the Premier League. And then when you look at the wiggle room they had because of years and years of not spending, and then when you factor in Pete's point around new sponsorship deals that they can actually gain as a result of them increasing their position in the Premier League, and then even them finishing high in the Premier League as well, they've got ways of bringing in money into the club, right? And that will put them in the green, and that will give them the breathing room to spend. It's not like Man City, who finished 8th and then blew like 200 million in the summer, and then blew another 200 million the following summer, and so on and so forth, right? Man City are only able to be self-sustainable now, right? Self-sustainable, and even that I put in quotation marks. They're only able to be sustainable now after years of overspending. Yeah, Newcastle are sustainable right now. Like, they've got the money on top, but granted, before that, because of how extremely frugal Mike Ashley was, they have wiggle room. They can spend money without the scrutiny that Man City will face.
Yeah, spot on.
Lee, I'm looking at Arsenal, right? And I'm seeing, obviously, look, I'm not comparing Arsenal to Man City at all, but you've been spending quite a bit in the last few seasons, especially from Arteta. Is there any sort of concern about potentially the belts tightening soon over the FFP crackdowns? You're looking at how
not for
things are getting.
I think because one of the good things is, and I didn't realise this looking into it, like your academy players coming through are valued. So at this moment in time, Saka will be valued at a certain amount, Martinelli a certain amount. So will Smith Rowe, and that can give you a little bit more extra spending and things like that. Arsenal got a big fan base. I think that's where I think Manchester City, without being horrible to them, suffer a little bit. And
you can foresee the club selling Martinelli and Smith Rowe. You can see that potentially happening.
if they don't sign new contracts, it could happen. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Martinelli's just signed, so there's no problem there. You know, we've still got to get Saliba and Saka signed up. If we do that, you know, I think the club's going in the right direction. They're looking at bringing in a couple of midfield players next season. One you'll know about, whether that'll happen or not. I don't know, but they're looking to do that. And obviously Arsenal have got a good commercial thing as well, which does help. You know what I mean? We sell 60 new shirts every other month. You know what I mean? Like bring out brands left, right, and centre. Do you know, like they brought out a new brand last week, and within a week, you know, you can't get it for love or money. It's all sold out. Like, you know, all the black kits for Christmas were all sold out. They couldn't make them quick enough. So, you know, Arsenal can make money, same as Tottenham, same as Newcastle. Look, I go to Newcastle. When you go to Newcastle, wherever you walk in on a match day, everybody, and I mean everybody, has got the black and white striped shirt on, like, you know. So
not just the match day, Lee. Not just the match day.
No, probably not. I'm only up there on match day, like, you know what I mean?
Who'd have thought the barcode look would be so popular, right?
Yeah, but there you go. And they've got this. They've got a big fan base at Newcastle, so they'll be able to grow that. And once you've got a big fan base, it does help. You know what I mean? And the thing is with Newcastle, which is a little bit where they've got the advantage over the likes of us and Spurs and so forth. They don't have to build a new ground. Their ground's quite big as it is. You know what I mean? So they haven't got to look to fund the stadium like Arsenal have done for the first 10, 15 years of their times, and Tottenham. You know what I mean? Also, have got to pay theirs back, but. You know, I don't think Manchester City, they got them given to them or whatever. I'm not so sure. I know one club got their stadium given to me. Look, given to them. I don't know who that was. Like, you know what I mean? So, you know,
given. Listen, some people rent their homes. Some people rent their homes. It's a perfectly valid option. We can't all be.
I just want to add.
You pay like $2 million a year, and the taxpayer pays the rest.
Listen, blame your club, Tobes, because we tried to buy it, yeah, and your club cried and bitched about it. You had to throw a spanner in the works, pretend that you wanted it, and then, you know, they wouldn't sell it to us, so we had to rent it. We tried to buy it, so it's taxpayers. It's Tottenham's fault. Blame Tottenham.
I'll tell you what, though, Tobes, you'd be glad that you didn't. Surely, you know what I mean? Like, I think, like, you know,
yeah, I'm delighted. I love our stadium.
Do you imagine if you was going there?
We were,
oh my God!
Raised basically.
Well, there'd be an East London club, and all the crap that they give to us about being a South London club, we would give to them. About being, you know what I mean? We would give it all to them. But you know what? Lee, your old mates, Spurs, they helped you out this weekend, didn't they? They helped you out. I mean, did you have your lily white shirt on and your you know, your cockerel badges and all of that stuff on the weekend?
What do you think? Listen, at the end of the day, I look at it like, you know what I mean. The only thing I like Toby giving me is a nice pina colada. He does a nice one of them. Other than that, I don't want nothing else off of them. Like, you know what I mean? But I look at it and seriously, I look at it as Manchester City lost, and that's it. Like, you know what I mean? I don't look at it any other way. I didn't actually watch the game. I was travelling back from Manchester at the weekend in Manchester. I weren't that bothered because whatever happened. You know, if Manchester City won, then Spurs lost. If Spurs won, Manchester City lost. So we was in a nice position, like, and the greatest thing about it, and I must admit, is like the greatest thing about it was when they won it. It's all going to be about Harry Kane and Tottenham this and Tottenham that, and good old Manchester City come out the next day with all this fire. It's just sort of put a back burner on it. So at the end of the day, look, Spurs needed to win that game as well for their top four aspirations. I think they don't need to be going behind Newcastle and Manchester United. They don't want to be giving them too much of a lead. I'm pretty sure even Manchester United, I would imagine, would have wanted a draw, and Newcastle probably wanted Manchester City to win it. I don't know, but like from our point of view, you know, we got to take care of our business. We didn't on Saturday. Looking back on it, it's Saturday, and I will say this, and one of my mates actually pulled it up and said, like, as disappointed I was, he said no team would have beaten Everton that day. No team in the Premier League would have beaten Everton on that day. They was just up for it. It was one of those games, and it was unfortunate that we was the team up there. Like, you know, I was just coming up, and I've got to say this. Sam Matterface is on, commentating on the Man United game. And he said, Man United need to win this because Manchester City, looking at Manchester City and Arsenal's poor form. Arsenal have lost one game in the last, I don't know how, and it's poor form, you know what I mean? So, listen, we're gonna have to take a little bit, but pressure game now on Saturday. There's no two ways about it. But I'd rather be where we are than not. I've been wanting us to be in them for a title challenge for a very, very long while. We're in one, so I'm going to enjoy it. And what will be, boys.
You know what? We're gonna delve deeper into this Arsenal loss in a minute, but I'm gonna be unbiased here. I'm gonna let Tobes wax lyrical about his boy Harry Kane breaking the record. Good point that you made, Lee. He would have been all over the back pages if it hadn't been for Man City. They would have been getting all the praise and glory, and it's swept him. I mean, what a game, Tobes, for him to break the record in a game to obviously help Arsenal get some breathing room, but obviously it's a big game. It's Man City. Come on, let's
done his boyhood team a favour. You know what I mean?
He's one of our own.
Is that actually true? Is that true?
100% is true. Like, yeah, that is. Yeah,
he came through your youth system originally, didn't he?
He was in our youth team at first, and was a massive Arsenal fan and that. But listen, that don't mean nothing. Like, once you change allegiances, that's it. Like, I think
is it a big loss for you? Like, do you look at it like
got relief?
When we get to Tobes, that is a bad miss, like from your lot, because Harry Kane, he could have been an Arsenal player. I mean, you've dropped the ball massively there.
Well, not really. Like, what I mean? Like, let's be honest. And I know this for a fact that they tried to get Harry Kane sold to a couple of clubs before it all went for him. You know what I mean? He went to Millwall. I don't think he was a success. I don't think he was at Liverpool. Leicester or Norwich, you know what I mean? And the one reason I can say if when Salgado signed for Spurs, if it had been a success, Harry Kane would have been sold. But that's football, you know what I mean? The door opens, and I'll tell you what, if Toby will remember it as well. Like, you go back to it. It was a Europa League. He started banging in goals in the Europa League, and the door was open for him, and no, he hasn't looked back since. And the one thing I know, all through his time, and a story was that Tottenham would say lose 2-1 in a youth game, and they'd go back and go, "Oh, we lost 2-1." Who scored? And it'd say, "Oh, he played bad, but Harry Kane scored." You know what I mean? Like, and then we're gonna have a game. Harry Kane scored. So he's always been that goal scorer in the youth teams and all that. Like, and at the end of the day, you've got to give him credit. It's a marvellous achievement. And what I will say about Harry Kane, whether you like him or you don't, he's consistently been banging in goals since the day he arrived. And if you have a look, there's only probably Shearer that's done that over that course of time. So credit where credit's due.
Come on,
I said that with bated breath.
Listen, what more can I say, man? What more can I say? Premier League legend, Tottenham legend. He's just an amazing striker, man. And I know he has his detractors, of course. He has his moments where he hasn't delivered in some of the biggest stages. But if we're talking about what this guy has been able to achieve so far in his career at the age of 29, he's the fastest player in the Premier League to obviously reach 200 goals with his amount of games. Obviously, there's only two other players that have hit over 200 goals, but he hit it quicker than both Shearer and Rooney. I'll maintain he's going to break Wayne Rooney's record this season. I've said that from the jump. I said that right at the start of the season, and I'm sticking to it. He's going to break Wayne Rooney's record by the end of it. He's 9 goals away from breaking the record. So he needs to score 9 goals in 16 games to break the record, and I believe he will do it. So, yeah. Obviously, he's going to get the trophy shtick, and I get it. A player of his quality, he does need to win silverware. But if we're judging him, Harry Kane, as the individual, right? As an individual, he's a bona fide world class striker, man. And I'm really happy for him, and I hope he can fire us into the top four, man. Keep it going, man. Another thing that people don't speak about recently as well is his fitness. He used to be known for being injury prone, but over the last 3 seasons, he hasn't missed more than probably like 2 or 3 games in the stretch for Spurs. Like, he's been really, really reliable.
He's got personal training now, Tobe, hasn't he?
Will he stay in the summer? What's that?
He's got a personal trainer now, hasn't he? Like,
he's got a personal trainer.
Yeah, like does all his fitness stuff. Yeah, he's done
I didn't know, but either way, he's kept himself injury free. So we love to see it, man, and long may it continue. As long as he's at Spurs, right? So I don't know how long he's going to be at Spurs, but yeah.
Tobes,
do you back this, Tobes? Since Yusuf says, since people might not be counting City's trophies, Kane won Carabao in 2021. I'm hearing all this.
I don't buy into all this malarkey, man.
Would you take it if they was like, yeah, Tottenham are Carabao Cup winners 2021?
I mean, we lost the game, so it doesn't really. What does it do? We actually lost the game, so
yeah, but through cheating, technically, can't count it as cheating. So you might win by disqualification. But
I wanted to ask Tobes. Like, I think we've already talked about this before, Tobes, but like, genuinely, do you think he'll leave or what will it take for him to sign a new deal and stay at the club at Tottenham next season? And do you think there's a higher chance of him leaving than there is staying?
I think there's a high chance of him leaving, to be honest, because I think if he was going to stay, he would have signed a new deal already, right? If you really want to stay, he would have signed a new deal, but he's willingly letting his contract run into the last 12 months to see what options he has, right? And he has the power in his hands. I think he's going to go, and to be honest, I've been resigned to Harry Kane leaving since summer 2021, man. So for me, I don't really have any ill wishes towards Harry Kane should he leave. I do actually think a big part of me actually thinks that Spurs eventually need to move on from Harry Kane anyway. We need to understand what Spurs are going to look like after Harry Kane, because he's not going to be Harry Kane forever. He's not going to be this version of Harry Kane forever, nor is he going to stay at Spurs for the rest of his career. So if he leaves, man. He'll leave with my blessing. And if he
leaves for Arsenal, what if he went to Arsenal and signed a pre-agreement?
He wouldn't go to Arsenal.
He's never going to go into Arsenal.
He wouldn't go to Arsenal.
What, his boyhood club?
He would never go to Arsenal or Chelsea. He wouldn't.
Dream homecoming.
He will never go. He will never go.
What would you do, Toes? What would your reaction be if that actually happened? If a Sol Campbell,
I don't even know. I don't even want to think about
it happened again.
What would you do? I don't even want to know. I don't even want to think about it.
Lee could finally celebrate him scoring for England.
Yeah, that would be peak. I'd have to bin him.
Would you?
He wouldn't go to Arsenal even on the front. Look, I think at the end of the day, with Harry Kane, 2 years ago, obviously, or was it last year? It was last year, wasn't it, that he made it clear that he wanted to go to Man City, but he didn't have the power. Levy and Tottenham had all the power because of the long contract, and they said, look, if Man City don't stump up this amount of money, he's not going to go. What's happened in the last year and after this summer is the power's all on Harry Kane. If they don't let him go this summer, then he can actually say to the club, well, okay, I'll see out my contract and I'll go to that team down North London, that other team, or obviously he ain't going to do that, but he could put pressure. Do you imagine if he could actually put pressure on that and say like that could happen? I don't think Harry Kane would do that, but I think then he's got the chance to go to where he wants to go. I think that people criticise him for not winning. I think he's been very, very loyal to Tottenham. Whatever happens, if he leaves in the summer, Tottenham have had the best years of him. They've had the best years of him, and he's given it. He's given it all to them. And I'll tell you what, even Toby would probably agree with this. You know what I mean? He's been just as good since that transfer saga and all that. He could have actually sat down and sulked and said, "Look, I'm not going to bother," and but he hasn't. He's been an ultimate professional in it. And I think if it comes to the summer and he says, "Look, I want to leave," I think Tottenham should do the right thing and let him go, but and not be stupid with an overpriced thing and all that. Like, do what's fair for Tottenham and do what's fair for Harry Kane.
Tobes, you mentioned about him going to Man United, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but like, what's the difference between him going to Man United at this moment in time? History and club and all the rest of it is very, very different, but Man United have had their difficulties just as much as like Tottenham have in terms of being Champions League one season, in and out. Like, why would he go to Man United? Is it because of the history?
Is he frozen?
He
didn't want to answer that question.
He's done with the Kane. He's done with the Kane talk. He's done.
Well, they're going to have a trophy this season, wouldn't they? The Carabao Cup. They'll have be Carabao Cup winners. So recent trophy win.
Hold on. Steady on there, Lawless.
That means we've got a Carabao Cup then as well, doesn't it?
You might want.
Didn't think of that.
But Newcastle is standing the way he is. The game's not done yet. Come on.
The game's not done, but there's a good chance they'll have a Carabao Cup.
Hold on, they're losing 1-0 to Leeds right now. Like, if they can lose 1-0 to Leeds, they can lose 1-0 to Newcastle. So
we'll see.
Let's not rule this out just yet. Not saying
I'll tell you what, I'm with you on that. I wouldn't write Newcastle out of that cup competition. What is it? That's a great question. Who is favourites? I think Man United would be favourites because of their history and everything like that. But I think that Newcastle are a bloody difficult team to play against. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say that Man United are favourites for that.
No,
interesting.
But I want to come top four.
Tobes, to what Pete's saying, like, why would he go to Harry Kane? Is it a similar thing in and out of Europe? Like, they are not won a trophy in a long time. What's the difference between Spurs and Man United apart from the history? That's what he's asking.
Yeah, I think it's probably around the trajectory, right? It's all about the trajectory. Spurs are probably going to lose Antonio Conte in the summer. Harry Kane is 29 years old. Man United look like they're in an upward trajectory under Erik ten Hag, and they look like they have a manager that has probably put them maybe a year ahead of their development. Right? They're potentially looking to go above Man City right now, when probably the remit at the start of the season was made to try and get top four. So not saying that they're out of the top four race, but I feel like he's got them ahead in his development. He's in the cup final already. So they look like they're in an upward trajectory, and they've got much more financial muscle than Spurs do, right? So if they were to throw a crazy wage and salary at Harry Kane and say, look, we want to make you the centerpiece. We think that we can challenge for the title with you and player A, B, C. I feel like they could potentially sell a package to Harry Kane that Spurs can't sell, because under this ownership, I don't think we're able to sort of sell sell another project to Harry Kane. I don't think how many more projects must he have to be sold for him to realize that Spurs just aren't built to succeed the way he wants right at this stage of his career. I just don't think we are under this ownership. So yeah, I feel like that's the angle that Man United could go with. I do agree in terms of recent performances. Go on. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to ask you, do you think you losing Kane and Conte at the same time, because likely Conte could be gone, is going to be, a massive disaster for Spurs? Losing those two big figures at the club to key people, that's going to be a problem. And Son could go as well. Like, Son, obviously, his form's been terrible this season, but he's been a big part of Tottenham, and he's been linked with moves away for quite a while. And maybe that could be why he's maybe form's dropped off. But it could be a lot of upheaval this summer.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. That's a penalty. Sorry, I'm watching this game. That's a penalty. Man, that should be a penalty. It could be upheaval. Yeah, you're right. I honestly don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know how it's going to look. But one thing is for certain: Spurs have been too reliant on Harry Kane and Son over the years. So we were always going to need to move on from them anyway. So technically, I don't see an issue. I don't see an issue in Spurs ideally building the side without Son and Kane, because at what point are we going to say like we need to move on? The only issue I see is the people responsible, tasked with replacing Son and Kane. I don't think they're up to it, and that's the danger. That's the danger. But it is what it is, man. Like Conte looks like he's going. Harry Kane could go. What can I do? What can I say? What can we do? We're just gonna have to firm it and try and move on.
You know what? Speaking of having to firm it, certain team here is going to have to firm a big L from the weekend. Arsenal. Arsenal lost to Everton, one of the worst teams in the league, down at the bottom of the table, and Arsenal finally lost the league. Do you think? Do you really look at it as you know what? It's just new manager bounce, or do you think that maybe the chinks in the armor are starting to appear? The seasons, we're getting into that deep territory. It's make or break. Any concerns at all looking at that Arsenal Everton game?
Well, you got like the only concern you have is that they didn't play well. No player played well on the day. But how I look at it is we've not had a performance like that for a very, very long while. We've played well everywhere we've gone. We lost to Manchester United, but played really, really well. Probably should have got something out of the game. But this one, we didn't deserve to get anything out of the game. And I think that, every team is entitled to a bad performance. But we put ourselves in a position where we can afford one or two, you know what I mean, like those performances. So not that I want to see them too often, I must admit, but I think at the end of the day, everything that went wrong for us. We didn't play well. We got beaten. We deserved to get beaten. It's not one of those where you're looking at a referee or you're looking at a poor decision or whatever. We just got to hold our hands up. We didn't perform on the day. Everton did. I still state it now, and looking back in it, I don't think many teams would have beaten Everton on that day. I think that, the Everton fans and all that after the game were all cheering on that performance. But where were they? Where were those players all season? Because I've watched Everton on a few occasions. I've not seen that sort of level of performance. But new manager, I will say this: if Frank Lampard was in charge, Arsenal would have won that game. I believe that, But new manager, Sean Dyche, I think he got his tactics dead right. He put two on our wide players, nullified our wide players. Newcastle done the same, by the way, when they come there. And we didn't have an answer for it. And I think the answer is that, your fullbacks have got to get out wider and help overload it on that. And we didn't. And then that's something hopefully that Mikel will learn from, So because other teams will look at that now, I think maybe.
I was just about to ask that. Do you think Dyche has laid out a blueprint for how to beat Arsenal this season? And other teams, like you said, could see that now and go, because that's happened before.
Exactly that. I think Newcastle put a blueprint out there how to get something at the Emirates, whether you like it or whether you don't. I didn't like it, but I look at it and say, look, a team that's in the top 3 or 4 at the time, playing very, very well, come there and defended and looked for a point and got the point, and they'd be, like Newcastle, pleased with that. Didn't do enough to win the game. Didn't do enough probably to break that down. And you're going to have to say the same with Everton. Everton done that. They played their game plan and created a few good chances, if I'll be honest, with Calvert-Lewin, who caused us all sorts of problems on the day. But they beat us on a set piece. So, lessons to be learned. Listen, good teams dust themselves down and go again. We lost to Man United and everybody was doubting, that's it, that's it, the run's over and everything like that. We've got 2 home games now. Emirates is a difficult place to come and play. We've got to do that. And also, we've got Everton again in a couple of weeks' time our game in hand has been put in as well, like, you know. So we've got to come up against Dyche again. So again, you know, where 2-3 weeks ago that was looking like a guaranteed 3 points, it ain't going to be now, like, you know what I mean. So,
Dyche has got Arsenal fans in fear, honestly.
But listen, I'd rather be in our position than anybody else's at this moment in time. So there you go.
I've got to shout out Mark Taylor, because he on this channel and on our channel on Loaded Bag NFC, he you know, we're still living rent free in his head, and I keep telling him on every show that I do, and he keeps putting in anti-football Newcastle just because of that result where we took a point at the Emirates. He just can't get over it. He cannot get over it. And I've said
they don't like it up.
You know, to be fair, I love Mark Taylor. He's a top guy, but I keep saying to him,
I look at that.
Plan B. Arteta on that day didn't have a plan B. And watching
and exactly right.
He didn't have a plan B against Everton, and I genuinely believe. No, I said it to Potts a couple of weeks ago, and a few people, when I said it, I think Lourdes, you were one of them, when I said that I think Arsenal will win the league. I think they will do enough to win the league, and you were kind of like and ahhing about that. And I still do think they've got enough to win the league, but I do think that whether it's this season or next season, he has to come up with a plan B. He has to come up with a different way of playing. You can't just go in and just go, this is my way of playing, regardless of the result, regardless of who we're playing against. This is how we're going to win matches, because top teams don't do that. They have another alternative, another system, another way of playing to change things up, to make a difference to their team. Like, at this moment in time, you probably haven't got the overall squad to make personnel changes to whip it up and make a massive difference. That will come in time. So really, there has to be a change in style or a change of approach. There has to be. You know, yeah. We're asking a similar question with Eddie Howe, because we've drawn 4 out of our last 5 games. We're saying, is there something different that's needed? So it's something that's needed to happen for any top team at the top. And I think for Arsenal, because you're top of the league and it's all on you, everyone's looking at you right now. And, you know, it was a disappointing defeat. I thought you'd wipe the floor with Everton, and it wasn't the case. But I think it was because you just played the same way all the way through. And once they'd mastered how to stop you playing, they were able to kind of impose themselves on the game. And that's how they got the goal. And once they got the goal, you knew at that point.
Oh, yeah.
I've been there a good
5 minutes.
Yeah.
After 5 minutes, we weren't winning that game. That was a disappointing thing. We just weren't up for it all play. Listen, I totally agree with what you're saying. I think against Newcastle, if I'll be honest, I looked at that game and I didn't think that we was that bad. I felt that, you know, give credit to Newcastle, they defended well. I look at that as a compliment that a team like Newcastle came there. And I think, to be honest, I don't think that was in their game plan, Newcastle. I thought it was a 10, 15 minutes of the game that, you know, they went toe-to-toe with us, and then they realised that they couldn't go that way and played another way and got a point. But I agree against we didn't really do enough for that game. I look at this game a little bit more disappointing because we had players. We didn't have nothing on the bench on that game, if you remember rightly. We didn't have nothing. We didn't have Trossard playing. We didn't have anybody to come in there, like, you know. So we was a little bit. What's the word, like, you know, his hands were a little bit tied. I didn't think they was on Saturday, and unfortunately we didn't get you know, I look at it and I think there has got to be some sort of change up there. I felt, you know, listen, when you're winning games like we have been with Zinchenko playing as he was in that midfield, that wasn't the role for him. Like, he needed to get out wide, get overlapping at Martinelli, and then let Martinelli then have a one-on-one situation with an old. It didn't happen, and I don't for the life of me know why that didn't. Ben White, by the way, has been fantastic for us. I think he's been one of the best players in our team defensively. Last couple of games been not on it, like, you know. So there were a couple of little concerns, I would say, of players just maybe lacking a bit of form. And listen, I think that Saturday, you know, I think this is where Arteta. I'll be looking at Arteta, and this is where I'm looking at him going, right, are you the Super Mikel that everybody sings about? Because we've got 2 games to go through, and I think, you know, looking at it, he might have to just freshen things up a little bit for and get the result on Saturday and make sure that we're nice and fresh for Wednesday as well. So intriguing 4 days it's going to be for us Gooners.
Well,
And of course, for you West Ham boys, you can just sit there and watch it, like, you know what I mean, because you're not part of it. All right, you're horrible.
I knew that was coming, Lee. I knew that was coming.
Bloody West Ham, like, yeah, you know what I mean.
We're in a race for Europe through the Conference League. Let's just say that. As long as we're in the Conference League, we're in the race. We win that, we're in the Europa League.
Yeah, I think like you've got to be one of the favourites for that, surely, aren't you? Like, you know,
yeah,
the only favourites, really. If they don't win it, like that's a disaster of a season.
If we don't win it, then it's time to go.
They had a tremendous chance to win the Europa League last season. I thought they had a very good chance. Blew it in the semi-final. Dan knows that I do want West Ham to be. I quite like West Ham. I've got nothing against them, like, you know what I mean. I would like them to win a trophy before Spurs. That would be very nice, so that you can give them that little bit of stick. But it's now or never, Mr. Lawless. It's now or never.
Now or never. I bloody hope so. That certain people will not hear the end of it.
He's already gone. He's already gone.
Yeah, he's gone. I don't know where if he's coming back or what with his crap internet. He's Spursy internet. You know, but Gareth Staunton with a €10 super chat. Thank you very much. That makes an interesting point, and I think you can weigh in on this as well, Lee. Pete, it looks like the two top teams at the moment don't have alternative ways of playing. Look at Klopp, look at Pep. Doesn't look like they have a plan B either. There was another comment in there also talking about how Pep and Klopp don't.
A lot of teams don't have a plan B though, Dan, do they? What team does have a plan B? If you're being really honest, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you used to have teams, wouldn't you? Have the plan B, you'd have like the target man on the bench.
Yeah, it's a thing that's gone out the window a little bit. I'm going to say this now. I thought that Calvert-Lewin was outstanding on Saturday. Like, you know what I mean? If you look back at the game against Arsenal, they didn't play this, none of this playing out of the back ever. And they got the ball and they put it up to him, and then they broke on his touch. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that. It's old school football. But I tell you what, it bloody works. It can beat a footballing side. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so. But listen, you lose one game, you don't want to be sort of let's tear that up and go on to something else. You know what I mean? You believe in your beliefs. It's got us to where we've got. You've got to carry it on the way through, like, you know. And I think that would be the same with West Ham, same with Newcastle. I don't think Newcastle will change things a little bit there. I think with Newcastle, I think that maybe they're getting a few draws because, if I'll be honest, they're two wide players, Joe Linton and Elderon. They've just dropped their form a little bit. You know what I mean? You know, that was in sensational form. I do think at the end of the day, Martinelli has just gone off the boil a little bit since the World Cup, and you know what I mean? I don't care what anybody says. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus is a massive loss. You know what I mean? Eddie's done a fantastic job, but he's no Jesus. He's no Jesus.
Do you think you're missing, Lee? You know what I mean? Talking about plan Bs for Arsenal, you're missing the days when you had Giroud on the bench, right? In the Wenger days, and you'd be losing and you can't quite break the team. Now you bring on a Giroud, go a lot more direct, and a lot of the time it worked. And you haven't got that these days. Do you think you're missing a player like a Giroud type, and having that could be the counterpoint against these sort of teams in a way to late onto the game, throw Giroud on with Jesus or
Aaron would say that, like, you know, Aaron would say that. And I'm a big fan of Giroud. I think he's been a great player and all that. When he was at the club, we was never 5 points clear with a game in hand going into the second part of the season. So I look at it and just say, look, we're in a very, very good position now. Why are we in a very good position? Because of the way we've been playing and the way we've been doing it. Why change? You know, at the end of the day, I'd rather play the way we're going. And if we miss out on it, we miss out on it, you know. But we've played poorly on one game, lads. And everybody's going, we've got to have a plan B and all that. Weren't saying when we was beating Tottenham a couple of weeks ago, no one was going, look, if you'd have had a plan B, you'd have won 3 or 4-0. You know what I mean? Come on, you lose a game, and everybody jumps on the bandwagon and all that, like, you know. Listen, if we don't beat Brentford and we don't then beat Manchester City, then questions have got to be asked. But at this moment in time, it's one defeat, and I know you all lot want us to lose our minds over this and all that, but we're quite confident and whatever. And do you know what? It's a really funny thing. Do you know what? Football turns up funny things, and we lost to Man United. Our next game was Brentford. And I remember going to Brentford that day thinking, oh, no, Brentford, really, really tough game. We put on a masterclass. We've lost our second game and then we got next game Brentford, like, you know what I mean? So, we'll see what happens. And listen, if things don't go well against Brentford, you might on a Saturday night, you might catch me on a bit of a bad one, like, you know what I mean? But at this moment in time, I'm quietly confident that we'll be all right.
A lot of eyes will be on that, hoping that that could be the case.
Of course, and exactly that. Of course, that is because the pressure will be on. You know what I mean? And that's what happens. That's what happens with top teams. Newcastle are experiencing a little bit now. You know what I mean? Like a couple of years ago, on no disrespect to Newcastle, they'd take some of the points that they've been winning at home. You know what I mean? Like, but now it's a disappointment. Why? Because the expectations there. You're disappointed, Lawless, because of West Ham where they are now, because over the last couple of years you've been a lot more successful, and with that comes pressure, and that's how it is. And for me, all I've ever asked for Arsenal, and I'm not saying it because it was always I want a title challenge. I think Arsenal, as an Arsenal fan, the money that I spend and everything like that, and the club, I expect Arsenal to be challenging for the title, and that's what they're doing now, like, And so you ain't going to get nothing more out of me than that, like,
You know what? I want to see Lee. Right, speaking of, you alluded to Declan Rice. Are you going to get Declan Rice out of West Ham now? I've just put a video up on my channel, West Ham Fan TV. You can check it out after. Talking about the news that West Ham are using the Jack Grealish deal as a benchmark for what we're looking for Declan Rice. We've also had Moyes come out and say that Rice will be a record transfer for a British player, which means you're looking over 100 mil. I've seen all you Arsenal fans, not all of you, sorry, but a lot of you saying 75 mil, 80 mil, good price. Lee, what's your feelings? Do you want Rice? How much would you be willing to see your
as I said, we go for Rice and we'll end up with Curry. That's what we're in up with. But no, on a serious note, listen. I think with Declan Rice, I was actually I had a coffee with West Ham Paul today, and we was talking about this. Declan Rice can do two jobs. He can be the box-to-box player, and he can also do the holding role, you know what I mean? So what you're actually getting, if you're going to spend 100 million, you're getting a player that can play two roles. So is he worth 100 million in my eyes? Yeah, he probably is. Now, I'm understanding he's only got a year left of his contract after this. So
with an option that we can take, so it'd be effectively 2 years. It
could be effectively 2. I think at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure. Well, I think that it's no secret that he has sounded out Arsenal and I'm not saying that he said he wants to go there, but he's interested in going there, like, you know what I mean, like finding out what it's like and whatever. I'm pretty sure that Declan Rice has sat down with West Ham at some stage and said, look, I'm not going to sign the contract, but I'm not prepared to go for nothing. Like, I don't think that he's going to do that. I think, and lead West Ham down the merry dance. I think that there's going to be honest and, negotiations and talks on that. And it's going to take I think 80, 90 million or something, like maybe even like, dare I say it, there's a certain player banging in goals in France that something that West Ham could do with goals, could come into the foyer.
Interesting.
Or even maybe like, an Eddie or someone like that, along the roads there. Leeds are winning 2-0.
2-0. Come on, Leeds.
I'll tell you what. There you go. That is why football. You say about panicking and all that, like, you just got to, if you're not on it on the game, and they were saying when I was coming back from football, Leeds weren't on it in that Manchester United were not in it on it in that first half or first 30 minutes or whatever, if you're not on it, that's what happens. Like, you know what I mean?
And they now go above West Ham United in the table.
I suppose you want Man United to win this game, then, Lawless. Like, you know what I mean? Who's going down? Let's turn this around. Like, I feel about it. Who is going down? This is what I'm saying. Like, Everton have had a bounce. Leeds look like they're bouncing their way up the table.
Mark Taylor's already saying West Ham relegated. He's saying gone, done.
Well, we're the only team in the bottom 6 who haven't sacked their manager. Look at that.
Oh, look how tight. Do you know what?
There's like 7 teams in it, Lee. 6-7 teams in it.
Where would you say it was down to?
It's got to be. I think Forest aren't completely out of the woods, but if you say Forest, they're on the same.
Palace are on the same points, 24.
Yeah, so
I think Villa 28 probably safe.
Villa, I would say Villa are safe. So
anybody down from Villa?
Think about it, yeah, from Palace down, because they're only 6 points off the relegation zone. So you can say from Southampton to Palace, from 20th to 12th, they're all in it because it's that tight. And it's
because it's only 6 points, isn't it? From 6 points from 18th to 12th.
Yeah, so it's that tight. And like I say, you play one of those games. Say we've got Forest at the end of the month. So. That's going to be a big game. So as soon as these,
do you know what? Like looking at that, if that is the case, and it's not over at Leeds at the moment, but if Leeds were to get that against Man United, Everton have got that against Arsenal, West Ham have got Chelsea at home on Saturday. You have got to beat one of the. I'm not saying that they're one of the best teams in the league, but they're a big boy. You have got to get the result against it. Otherwise. Do you know what? I think Southampton and Bournemouth. Can we say that them both two are gone?
Yeah, I think so. It looks like I think Southampton could be a step too far. Bournemouth, I don't know what they're thinking.
Let's wait till Saturday. We go away to Bournemouth. if we take 3 points off them, then I'll go.
Yeah.
So Everton, West Ham, Wolves, Leeds. Well,
I can see Wolves kicking on. I can really see them kicking on since their managers come in and that. And it's going to be odd because we're the only
against Liverpool.
Yeah, they did. And that's the problem now. If Leeds, they ain't got a new manager. If they get a decent new manager in, that could be the difference. We have to find a way of making it work. And it seems they're going to stick with Moyes. And hopefully we've turned a corner. Obviously, we got this draw, but we need to start getting the wins on the board because we could be in danger of going down. And that's horrendous. Some of our fans were talking about Moyes being our greatest manager, which is, an absolute disrespect. But if we get us relegated after that, it'd be one of our worst. 180 mil, nearly 200 mil we spent. And we're 17th, 1 point off of the.
I think West Ham, to be honest, have started to hit a little bit of form, Lawless. If I'll be honest, I don't think you're the worst team in there. I think Leicester have, they got a great result, didn't they, against Villa? You know what I mean? They've all picked up a bloody good result. Like the only one that didn't at the end of the day was Bournemouth and Southampton. Everybody, if you go on it, Forest won, Leicester won, Leeds are winning now. Wolves had a great result. West Ham, I don't care what anybody says. That's a great result. Newcastle 1-1. I'll take that now. A point at Newcastle. If you take that point off, you'd have been in the bottom three.
Honestly, I watched the Leicester game, lads, and Villa Leicester, and there was a clear difference in the way Leicester played. It was because James Maddison was in the team. He was brilliant. He scored, but he just lifts the rest of the players. You guys know on this channel that I'd love Maddison to sign for Newcastle. I know we're in for him, and looking like we're going to go for him again in the summer. But there are other teams that are starting to pick up now. Like from what I see from West Ham, there's no way they should be in a relegation battle. Declan Rice, Paqueta, Aguerd, that's enough for me that should be keeping you in the league because they're 3 top quality players that, in my opinion, should not be in the bottom half of the table. They shouldn't be. Those 3 alone should not be playing football in the bottom half of the table. They're quality.
We've got some players that come back from injury as well. Like Cornet, hopefully, is going to be back within the next few weeks. Skamaka should be back soon. Zuma got injured, so hopefully he's going to be back for the Chelsea or for the Spurs game. So we've got a few players like Kerr. We lost him to injury for quite a few weeks against Newcastle. So we've dealt with these injuries, but we've got players to come back. I agree. I think we've got just enough to stay up, but I
Just
think
enough? Are you serious? You got more than enough, man.
We have, yeah, but it's the manager. I still think we ain't got the manager.
Right.
And this is the problem, is we've signed players that he doesn't understand. He thought that Paqueta was a playmaker, and he's not, and now he's just figured out, let's play him next to Rice, and it's working. But I think Rice, look, I don't think he'll be here in the summer. I think we'll get a lot of money, but he will play his heart out every game till the end of the season. You're going to get 100% from him. But, where he ends up, I think we're going to get into a bidding war. And I think a lot of Arsenal fans think that they're the only ones that are going to be in for him, and whatever they offer that we'll take. But you're going to have Chelsea, you're going to have Man United, Man City. They might have to splash out before they end up getting any bans. They might do some preemptive. Look, if we're going to go down, let's go down and have one last big spend. So they could do it. Real Madrid will be in for him. Liverpool potentially. They might miss out on Bellingham. So you never know. I think it's going to be huge. It's going to be a huge bidding war. And let's see who's got the financial muscle. I don't know if Arsenal... I mean, it's a marquee signing for any club. You look at it like that, Lee, that Rice.
100%. And it'd be the interesting thing is how much does the price, dare I say it, deteriorate or not if they get relegated? You know what I mean? Like, what happens then? You know what I mean? Because it'd be. Listen, I don't think it'll happen. I think listen, it's a statement signing. I think that. If I'll be really honest, I think Arsenal need two players to really push for the Champions League. Not say push for the winning it, but being in the Champions League and all that.
Or we competing in that and competing in the league.
We need two midfield players.
Europa League.
We need two midfield players, so we need to spend big on two midfield players. Maybe an extra forward, but nothing. I think our defence is all sorted now. I think that we just need two top midfield players. Maybe another striker just to cover that. So, but in saying that, we've got Balogun that's coming back. So I think that we just need to just spend big on two strikers. Two midfield players, and if one of them's Declan Rice, would be great. I'm a big fan of his. I've always been a big fan of his. So he's been watching that Man United game, haven't you, Tobes? You've been watching that Man United.
I don't think I can see Man United lose. Saeed's getting. Kids,
that's a great result. That's a great. That must put them. Looking at it, that's a good for Spurs because that's their game in hand, isn't it? Man United over Tottenham tonight.
Yeah.
And
well, then I think they've got Leeds. Have they not got Leeds again away
on Sunday?
The weekend
on Sunday. Yeah.
So this is the thing. This is a big thing. Who Spurs got at the weekend? Who Spurs playing?
Yeah, they do.
Leicester.
Spurs got Leicester. What, home or away?
Away.
So we're away at Bournemouth. Spurs are away at Leicester.
You know what? Let's just be real. Spurs are probably going to lose that game, right? It would be so Spurs to go and smash Man United, right? Beat Man City, and then go away to lose to Leicester when it comes to them getting in the top four. We can all see it. Tobes knows it deep down. Yeah, we've been here before.
Yeah, I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to deny it. But I'm actually not going to deny it. But we should beat Leicester. But you never know. We beat Man City. We beat Man City last time round, last season, 3-2 at their ground, and we went and lost to Burnley away. So I'm not putting it past Spurs. Spurs have not been a consistent side in the league over the last 2 to 3 months. So I wouldn't put it past us to go and lose. I think what works in our favour for this game is Leicester defensively are even worse than us. Like, I know they did well to beat Aston Villa the other day, but defensively, Leicester are a mess, man. They're a mess, man. They're a mess. So I think we've got every chance of winning, but you never know with Tottenham.
Yeah, now the top four, like you say, is looking like a possibility. The chat wants you to get onto Saeed for saying that they were going to be getting in the title challenge and now losing. Do you feel like their position is in trouble?
Mate, Mate, yesterday, when I was rolling my eyes, sorry, on Monday, when I was rolling my eyes at Saeed, and I was just like side-eyeing all this talk on United and how good they are and stuff. Like, I gave Ten Hag his dues. Ten Hag's been excellent. United are looking good, but like, I feel like their fans are doing too much. They're getting carried away. Oh, we can go level on points with City. Oh, we're experimenting, we're doing this, we're doing that. All of the Qatari nonsense yesterday. I'm like, bro, settle down, please. Like, Man United are much improved, but they still have chinks in the armor. They still have chinks in the armor. Like, I don't really like I said the other day, like, there's a clear gap between Arsenal, Man City, and then the rest of the league in terms of quality. Man United have not looked better than Newcastle this season, right? They've not looked better than Man City this season. They've not looked better than Arsenal this season. So what's the gas about? Marcus Rashford is literally carrying that attack by himself. If he don't score, they're pissed.
Yeah.
They're absolutely pissed.
You're watching this
Yeah,
game.
I don't know what they're going to blame this on now. They could, knowing Man United, they can probably rescue it, to be fair. It's Leeds defensively are a shambles. So Man United at home, I wouldn't even put it past Man United getting a result.
Honestly,
What's that?
If anyone's watching this game, and Tobes, I know you're watching this game, you can see that like everything's going through Rashford.
Yeah.
If Rashford's not doing anything in this game, they're not producing anything. They are not producing anything. Exactly what Toby's just said. Is that everything's going through Rashford. If you stop him, you stop Man United.
How is Tobes watching this game with his internet? How the hell is that buffering for like 10 hours?
But look, it's
bro, I'm telling you, it doesn't make sense. It actually doesn't make any sense. Like, my streaming on my Fire Stick is crazy. My streaming on my Fire Stick and like on my TV and stuff, it works. But when I try to stream on the laptop, it doesn't work. It's proper bookie, man. Proper bookie. But no, I agree with Pete,
NSPC police. If you're watching, he's in America.
I agree with Pete, man. The thing is, they'll put it on Casemiro. Oh no, Casemiro's not played. That's why we're this. No, Casemiro's not the reason why they're not beating Leeds. The reason why they're not beating Leeds is because they've not been good enough. They created a couple of chances in the first half. They didn't put some away, but they've defended poorly for both the goals. Simple.
You know what? Honestly, let me ask you guys a question. What you think about this? And Pete, this comes to you, but this affects you because before we end and I get my last question. Kieran Trippier, as they say up north, up in Geordie land, come out and said that Declan Rice is better than Partey and better than Casemiro. Obviously, Kieran Trippier, quality player, one of the best right backs in the league right now, played against all three of them. What do we think about Trippier's statement? Rice is better than Casemiro and Partey. Obviously, Lee is a fan of one of the teams that has one of these players. Kieran Trippier, I mean, you know what I mean? He's a top player. He might know what he's talking about, you know?
Different, like, you know, I mean,
I think he's gassing, to be honest.
I
think he's gassing.
Yeah, I am as well on that. I think Thomas Partey is the most important player at Arsenal.
But would Rice fulfill that function if you had Rice instead?
I think Rice would be a very good addition alongside Partey, if I'll be honest. Someone like that, like, you know what I mean, like. But as I say, I actually wouldn't swap Partey with anybody in the league at this moment in time.
Interesting, Pete. What do you think about old Kieran Trippier? And he's
this is the one time I'm gonna disagree with my captain.
Fake fan, Newcastle fan. Get on him.
For me, Casemiro is the best defensive midfielder in the world, easily. For me, not just because of what he did for Real Madrid, but because of what he's doing at Man United. He makes the difference. I'm not saying that's the reason why they're losing tonight, because Casemiro played against Crystal Palace and they conceded chance after chance after chance after chance at the weekend. So that's not the reason they're losing tonight. And I know Rashford's just scored, so I think it's 2-1 now in that game. But I genuinely believe that Casemiro is the best defensive midfielder in the world right now. But that doesn't mean that Rice isn't a quality player. Like, I watched Rice firsthand at the weekend at St James's Park. I thought he was very, very good. But I've also watched Thomas Partey when he played against Newcastle, and he was equally very, very good. So yeah, we'll see.
All I'm saying is Trippier's comments add another 10 mil to the price tag. But I want to end just quickly. Let's, because we've been talking about it, I'm really curious to get it. I want to end on getting your top 4 predictions as things stand now. Man United look like they could come back into this. There's still half an hour left. So
2-1 now, yeah.
2-1. Lee?
Apparently it's 2-2. Apparently it's 2-2. Some people are
still 2-1 at the moment.
Nah, they got to be. No, that's got to be on a wind up. Nah, they got.
I'm watching it. I'm watching it live. It's 2-1 at the moment. Like, you know what I mean? So
they're having us on. They're having us on.
Let's start with the league leaders then, Lee. I mean, what do you reckon the top 4 in order is going to be?
Top 4 in order. I'm gonna back my lads. I'm gonna bet my lads. Arsenal first, Manchester City second, Manchester United third, Newcastle just fourth.
Oh, you're a fighter.
There we go. Tottenham not in Lee's top 4. Surprise, surprise. But Pete, what are you saying?
I'm going to stick to my thoughts originally. I think Arsenal have got enough to still win the league. Man City second. See, this is where it gets tough. I'm going to go with it. This could quite easily change. I'm going to go with Man United third, Newcastle fourth. So I'm going to go the same. And the reason being is because I'm thinking that this is going to, our 4 draws out of 5. I'm hoping and believing that this is our down period. This is our drop in form, and that we don't now have any major midweek games that are going to disrupt us. We've just got 1 game every week all the way through. So that's my prediction.
Okay.
As of this moment.
Okay, yeah, my top 4 is exactly the same. Well, no, sorry. It's the only difference is I'm still putting Man City first, Arsenal second. I think this whole thing, a fire is going to be lit under Man City, sorry, with this whole thing, and yeah, they're gonna just go for it. So still, but could change. So the same: Man City, Arsenal, Man United, Newcastle. Tobes, have you got? Let's hear your top 4 in order.
I hope you can hear me anyway, or see me. But I'm going for Man City first, Arsenal second. United third, Newcastle fourth, as it stands. Ooh. But I really feel like United or Newcastle, one of those guys can drop out for us, I thought. But we'll see. For now, I'll lead them in the top 4.
Wow.
Spurs have done enough to convince me that they're going to be in the top 4.
Do you know what, Tony? If it stays tonight and Leeds beat Man United, then I think Spurs will get it.
Ooh.
So who do you think drops out?
We'll see. There's
I think Man United, these next 3 games are crucial to them. No Casemiro, no Eriksen. Got to go to Leeds away next.
I think, you know what it is with United? You know what it is with United, Lee? I feel like with Man United, their squad depth is an issue. Not in the sense that they don't have
I'm with you.
Numbers,
I'm with you on that.
But like they have a lot of injuries. Like Martial is their main striker. He's currently out injured. They're having to play Weghorst, who's really not a goal threat. Ten Hag play his close to his first exile damn near every game. They're still across 4 competitions. I really feel like the wear and tear of the season could weigh Man United down, because I don't think they did enough in January to pad their squad. So I think they're at risk of dropping out. You know, like Newcastle, the goals have slowed down, but at least Newcastle aren't losing, right? It's just the goals they need to start scoring. Man United, I just feel like with what they have in their play, if they beat Barcelona, which they play in a couple next week, and then the FA Cup, and then the Premier League to contend with, and then the League Cup at the end of the month, like it's a lot to put on their squad, man. It's a lot to put on their squad.
Terry Tibbs.
I agree.
Terry Tibbs has put Brighton 5th. Jesus Christ.
Well, they're currently 6th. Brighton 5th, Spurs 6th. I mean, that
Terry
would be
Tibbs.
Yeah. I mean, look, if Arsenal leave their players alone, they'd have a good chance, Brighton. You know what I mean?
I don't see West Ham in that list. What's going on?
Hey, listen, we're focused on trophies this season, yeah? You can't put 4th place in a trophy cabinet, right? You can't put 4th place in a trophy. It's all about trophies this season for West Ham. We're bringing home the silverware. And then certain people on this channel are going to have a tough summer hearing from me. I'll just say that. So, but yeah, I mean, I want to thank everyone for joining us. Pete, Tobes, and Lee. Tobes fighting there with his internet. We've got Super Chat today. We're going to put that towards the fund for Tobes' internet. Try and get him better internet. A few more megabytes. You know what I mean? So, but yeah. Lee, if you want to tell people where they can find you, what you got going, everyone knows. But
yeah, like on IFTV or Lee Judge's TV, like you know what I mean. So
yeah, where are they?
Bloody hell, is it 2-2 now? Like you know what I mean, I've gone off 2-2
Yeah, it
now.
is.
Like,
It's 2-2. Sancho's bagged.
Sancho. There you go, 2-2, Man United.
They're coming back now. They're coming back to win this. Like, you know what I mean?
His top 4 hopes are slipping through his fingers, before his very eyes right now. It's crazy.
If they come back, this is a very statement win. This now, if they get this back now, like it'd be massive, like for them, like you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, it would be huge. But yeah, no, do check out Lee Judge's TV. A lot of great stuff on there. Potts, you'll find him on there when he's not on holiday. He's on there quite a lot. So yeah, Pete, let's hear it, mate. Where can they find you?
Of course, you can see it in there in the description there. Loaded Mag NUFC on the way to 6K. Come and give us a sub. Lots of shows coming up very, very soon. Lots of special guests coming to join us. Come and enjoy it. We welcome all fans from all clubs to come in and talk all things Newcastle and football in general. So, yeah, get involved.
Come on in, tap in Tobes. Where can the people find you if they want more Tobes?
Clip it.
That's it.
Get it clipped.
That's so appropriate. We might as well end it there.
Get it clipped.
Thank you for watching. And not up the Arsenal, but come on, you Irons. That's how we're ending it. Come on.